How you doing today, folks? I'm Tej, and today I would like to give you my ultimate guide on cornering, my little masterclass. I came with this idea like 5 hours ago. I decided to make a video on it. Now, before I begin with the actual video, I have a few assumptions for my audience. First being that y'all understand what apexes are, late and early, and the effects of hitting said apex, though I will show some examples in the actual video. Understanding how to trail brake, what trail braking does for your rotation of the car, and understanding general things like how to choose a braking marker or how to properly track out on corner exit. With that being said, this video is my own personal guide on how I make my corners as good as I can, and that does not mean that it's perfect. So if there's something you don't understand, just respond in the comments and I can try and give you a video source. Now that that's out of the way, let's begin. The first thing you have to understand is what type of car do you have? Is it a street car that has little to no aero? Is it on slicks? Is it on regular tires? Is it on wets? Or is it an aero car, like an F1 or a GT3 car or an LMP1? All of these things matter, especially aerodynamics. And this should be generally known, but the way that you have to handle your car and steer and throw it into the corners differs depending on your setup and whether your car has aerodynamics or their type of tires. We will begin with the entry into the corner and using our vision properly. As we are approaching our corner, we should have a general idea of the tightness and length of the corner. If you're approaching a short kink in the road, you're not going to be riding that corner for a very long time, maybe a fraction of a second. But say you have a very long corner and you're going to be right on it for a while. Now that we have the general idea of what we're going into and we can visualize it, we want to have our eyes up and looking into that corner to make sure we're at a good turning point. A tip that I really use whether I'm on wheel or controller is to focus on using the outside tires because that is where we're gaining most of our grip according to the traction wheel that everyone uses on their tutorial videos. So a little trick I like to do is visualizing that I'm only turning in with the outside tires. So on a wheel I only turn with my outside hand, and if I'm on a controller I try and just visualize using that as outside tires to actually turn into the corner. And what that really helps me do is, I guess, be more accurate when it comes to visualizing how I'm going to take the corner. If I focus on using my inside tires, which I'll get into that soon on how I use those, then I usually tend to be less consistent and get really bad corner exits. So really just using that idea of using just the outside tires really helps me carve into the corner. Now, depending on what type of car you have, you might have to turn up a little bit more in order to make the car really turn into the corner, or you might have to use less steering angle and use your brakes more to get it to turn into the corner. So, with all of this being said, that covers our entry phase into the corner. Now, moving into our mid-corner phase, we should have had a nice smooth entry into the corner unless we're doing like rally. Now is the point where we use our assessment and planning vision around mid-corner. So planning vision is what we use to look ahead of the track, maybe a second and a half to 2 seconds in order to understand where we're going to be. Assessment vision is just a quick glance at the curb that we're taking and making sure that we are hitting the points that we want to hit. Usually you should be doing assessment vision with your peripheral view. Trust me, at first it's hard, it's a little bit awkward because you're not really sure if you're looking where you should or not, but once you get it, it makes a huge difference and it's required for driving fast, especially for Formula 1 and LMP cars, most definitely. So now mid-corner, using our assessment vision, now we use the inside tires to gauge how close we are to the inside of the corner. So, depending on the type of corner, it should either be real quick that you form up with the corner, or if it's longer, then you have to stay glued to the corner. And using these inside tires and our plan and vision as well, interchangeably, we should be glued throughout the entire corner. Now, one of the big parts that people struggle with when cornering is using the right amount of steering angle. The right amount of steering angle allows you to just be glued into the corner. If you use more, you might either keep going into the corner and run on top of the curb, or you might just begin to understeer, which is a sign that you're pretty much at your traction limit. But if you just introduce enough steering so you're just glued right onto that corner, you know that you got it. Now, if you are trail braking, you might have to add a little bit more steering mid-corner, depending on what type of car you're driving, like if you're on a road car. But say you're in a high aero car, you might just have to use a lot more steering than you usually have to. My biggest tip for mid-corner is to ask yourself, is the corner running away? Is it coming too close to you? Or are you starting to drift away from the corner? Is it running away from you? That's the biggest question I ask myself mid-corner, is it running away from me? It's kind of like a mental checkpoint just to make sure I'm cornering the way that I want to. Right, so now we're at the end of our corner, right? We're on the track out. If you've cornered properly and really stuck to the corner as you wanted to, you're able to have a really accurate track out and carry as much speed as possible. And with the track out, all you want to do is use as much of the track as possible. And that doesn't mean by just opening the wheel, we'd call that like cheating. But by the time you get on the gas, the car should naturally and try to carry itself outward of the corner. It is a trajectory, not a choice. So your car should be forcing you to take a line that goes all the way out to the outside of the track if you get on the accelerator at the right time. If you're too early, you usually look like you're about to run into a guardrail if you're on a road course. And if you do it too late, then you'll probably be somewhere mid-corner, maybe 2 to 1 tire length off the outside of the track. That's how you know that you can push a little bit more and get on throttle a little bit earlier. Congratulations, you have made it to the end of the video. You have now been bestowed my wisdom of cornering to the maximum of your capacity. I came up with the idea of the video pretty quickly, but it took like 7 hours to make, so I do appreciate you liking it or giving me feedback. And just to reiterate, I am going to put the sources of more things that can be talked about in depth, such as like vision or cornering grip or aerodynamics, so I will put those down there. I appreciate you watching to the very end, and I hope I was able to help you become a better driver today. And I was gonna make the video a little bit longer with some examples, but I think I got the point. If y'all do want to see examples, I will upload them if you request, but just for now, this is the end of the video. So have a good rest of your day or night, and yeah, keep learning.